Welcome to HorseGirlTV. I'm Angela Kelly. Today we're back at Silver Spring Farm where we talk with Laura Schleining about the athleticism of the equestrian and the equine athlete. Laura, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Angela.
So Laura, what would you consider an ideal fitness week both for yourself and for your horse?
Well, we try and spend at least one day completely off for the horse and for myself, just let the muscles relax. A younger horse, I like to give them 2 days off. 2 days a week, we usually try and have an easy day. And the other 4 days a week, I try to work the horses never with the same movements 2 days in a row. I like to give them one day of working on possibly the half pass and the changes, and then give them a day of easy work, more on the basics, and then another day with possibly different movements. So really try and mix it up and keep it interesting so that the horses don't get bored and I don't get bored. And in terms of my fitness, I do weight training and cardio. I try and keep up weight training every other day, a combination of core work, Pilates, as well as machines and free weights.
Could you elaborate a little bit on what you're talking about with the core for both the horse and the rider?
For a horse, you can really see the core strength developed the most easily in the canter pirouette. You can really see the horse flexing its muscle, you can see them holding their posture. For a rider, the first place that I like to start giving my horse an aid is with my core muscles. I start there, and if the horse doesn't hear me, then I'll move down my body and get eventually to the hand or to the leg aid. But oftentimes I find if my horse is having any sort of a problem, if I correct myself and get my own body in alignment, the horse is generally aligns underneath me as well.
Okay, now you compete at the FEI level, but you work with horses of all levels. What would you consider the main differences between the fitness of a young horse versus an FEI horse?
With my young horses, I definitely see that they have less fitness, less strength in their muscles, and definitely less mental focus. With the upper level horses, it's really about keeping up cardiovascular fitness and keeping up the strength of the muscles. If either of those systems aren't at top strength, the horse isn't going to be able to compete to its maximum potential.
Right on. So, we are doing sort of part 2 of the athleticism of the equestrian and the equine athlete. We're here with Marius Boone. Marius is Laura Schleining's physical trainer.
Yes.
Thanks for being on the show, Marius.
Well, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about what you do with Laura.
Well, Laura and I, we got together about 3 years ago, and I've never trained anyone who was an equestrian, so it was something that was a challenge for me. So we got a chance to look at some footage of her riding, and the area that I wanted to attack, and then Laura agreed, was the core, which I call the pillar of strength. You know, the pillar is the area that holds up the entire body, and the muscle groups that are attached to that area would be the abdomens, both upper and lower abs, the obliques, and also the erectus spinus, which is the lower back area.
Now, we're going to demonstrate some of the moves that you and Laura work on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, let's get to that then. Let's bring Laura in.
All right, very good. Form is very important. I would recommend that they get someone to coach them through that. And again, not only the form and the technique, but the breathing is very important also. Great drop. That's excellent. Very nice. And then once you come here, you're strong, and then that's how you're going to end it. So what's important there is how powerful you go from the ground up. You transition midair. Think about your horse when he goes in those technical turns. Same thing. That's exactly what we're talking about. Press. Yeah, nice job. Yeah, press. Move. It has to come above my head. Laura had it about a foot above my head. And you invest in the med ball, some dumbbells, and get a bench, and you can do these things right at home. If you think about Laura and her riding, how important is that area? It's very important. And if you had noticed her doing her exercise, she's very tall in her body. Again, focus on that strength and that pillar of strength as I talked about before.
So we have a trainer for our horse,
Yes,
a trainer for ourselves,
absolutely.
and then we have to learn how to train our horse as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And press. One of the things that Laura and I talked about, that becoming an athlete, I said, well, your horses are an athlete, and you pushed them, so guess what? You're an athlete, and I'm going to push you, and she really gravitated to that, so that was really nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Marius, thanks for letting us intrude into your workout space. I really appreciate you letting us do this. It's very educational.
It's very nice to be here and actually share some of the things that I'm doing with some of the athletes.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Nice job, girl. It's great.
So as you know, every episode we have Horse Girl Mail.
All right.
And this episode, Beth from Vermont writes in and wants to know, what do you suggest I do to develop an exercise program for myself?
I find that the muscles that I use most are definitely the stomach muscles. The way that I got started was with a 10-minute Pilates tape that I just did in my own house. And in the beginning, it was very challenging and I couldn't even get through the 10 minutes, but I just stuck with it every morning. Before I rode, I would just do that. And I noticed immediately having my core warmed up before I came to the barn was really improving my riding almost immediately. I've seen the benefits. And from there, I went to a gym and I met up with Marius, and he helped me develop a special program designed for using the muscles that I use in dressage. As riders, we know how important it is that the horse is using the proper muscles to do everything to be able to compete, and I feel the same is true for me, and that's why I work with Marius, is I would like to know, which muscles are going to be the most helpful for me to communicate best with my horse.
Don't forget to send your questions to mail@horsegirltv.com, and you could be featured on a future episode. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.